Hello and welcome. This is Around the World with Martins, and today, once again, we are having someone who has actually paid his dues in what he does. This is a man who was a university professor before venturing into business. And today, he sits as the founder, president, and indeed the chief executive officer of a consortium that engages in international investment. But my introduction of him will be after this short break. Please don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Our world has changed. What seemed unthinkable only a few months ago has become a new normal. But despite these difficult circumstances, our world has adapted, and we're here to help. Nigeria, welcome to Outpost Health. Welcome to the future of healthcare. Founded by Nigerian doctors, our internationally acclaimed virtual healthcare platform is now available across our home country. We bring a network of hundreds of highly trained professionals from Nigeria and around the world to your device to help you with your healthcare needs. Our doctors offer urgent and routine medical care, either virtually or in collaboration with clinics and hospitals around the country. Our health wallet enables easy and convenient payments and ensures you and your family will always have the funds needed to access quality healthcare no matter where you are. Our platform provides privacy and confidentiality standards that meet the strictest global security regulations for the medical industry. But don't take our word for it. Outpost Health was selected out of thousands of applicants from around the world by the United Nations, WTO, and the World Health Organization as an effective partner in the COVID-19 pandemic recovery. So let's create a healthy community together. Innovation, trust, safety, compassion. This is who we are. We are Outpost Health.
You're still watching this show Around the World with Martins, and like I said in my introduction today, we have someone who actually has paid his dues in investment banking, and he's been a university professor over the years until he ventured into investment banking. It's now my pleasure to welcome to the show today, Dr. Toby Bailey. You're welcome.
Thank you, Martins. Pleasure to be here.
Yes. So over the years, you've done so much. And as a Black American, one would almost wonder why the choice of investment banking all around the world. It's not typical of a Black American. And that's why I'm sure whoever comes across your name and your portfolio would be wondering, did you ever live in Africa?
No, I never lived in Africa, but I did travel to Africa. And amazingly, I took notice of my roots, seeing TV shows and saying, well, maybe that's true or not true.
Yes.
But then when I had the opportunity to actually work with products and resources from Africa through my earliest company, International Gold Consortiums, I actually learned the richness of the resources of Mother Africa.
Wonderful. So it runs in the blood, as it were. So tell me about Borg Investment.
Well, Borg Investment had an evolution of sorts. It's part of three companies. The very first company was International Gold Consortium. Then we went to Gold and Diamond Consortium. And then we morphed into Diamond, Gold, and Oil and Gas Consortium. Then we realized that as we did a number of these projects, we took on an equity stake. So we created a holdings company called Borg Global Holdings. Then last but not least, we always found a problem with finding money, finding the right way to make the money work. So the last of my trio of companies is called Borg Investment Bank. And of course, all three of those companies have their own downlines to begin with. So maybe I can first tell you about the three together, and then maybe I can be more descriptive of the banking group.
Perfect. Now, I understand you've not just traveled to Africa, you practically engaged in visible investment portfolios. Which countries, as it were, have you registered your presence?
Interestingly, we first targeted the largest of the 54 countries in Africa, Nigeria. And of course, ironically, since Borg has a company called Sunset Pictures in the United States, we look at Nollywood in Nigeria,
Okay.
and we created a Borg, excuse me, I'm sorry, Sunset Pictures Nigeria, and then
Mhm.
Sunset Digital Productions in Nigeria to take advantage of Nollywood. Then
Mhm.
we went on to healthcare. There was a healthcare related group that's based in Canada with the two doctor brothers living in the United States, but from Nigeria. So I
Okay.
invested in that group. So now we're providing remote telemedicine healthcare for citizens throughout Nigeria. But we didn't just stop there. You know, we also are doing things in uh, South Africa. We have a
Okay.
gold and diamond projects there. Uganda in East Africa,
Mm.
Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa, the DRC in Central Africa, and also Conakry, Guinea, and Bo, Freetown, Sierra Leone, and Ghana with Accra.
Impressive. Now, you just talked about gold. How much of investments do you have in gold and other precious stones across the continent?
Well, amazingly, we're looking at literally thousands of kilograms of gold that will now be brought to Borg Investment Bank. Before Borg came onto the scene, it was being sold to the Chinese, to the European, to the Middle East, to those in Dubai, and even other parts of the world, but very rarely to a black entity that could show them ways of how to leverage that gold that they sold. Amazingly, Martins, our African brothers, didn't
Yeah.
realize that as they sold gold, they were proud, but they didn't realize that the people that bought the gold smiled in their face because they would take that same gold and make it into bullion. They'll trade it.
Yes.
They'll make 20 times, Martins, what they bought it for. Then they'll come right back the next week for the next batch of gold from our African brothers who
Wow.
seem to be on a treadmill. They'll sell the
Yes.
gold, but then they'll never prosper. The same
Yeah.
workers still get their $6 a day, enough to get two chickens, six potatoes to
Yes.
feed their family, and go right back to work the next day.
Mhm. All right. So far, so good. We need to take a short break. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The album Ekene Dirichukwu is a song of thanksgiving to God who created me and who made me his priest. Thank you all. As you watch this video, make every effort to give thanks to God in whichever condition you find yourself. May God bless you.
You're welcome back. You're still watching the show Around the World with Martins, and my guest remains the president, founder, and indeed the chief executive officer of Borg Investment, Dr. Toby Bailey. So I'm going to narrow the discussion down to your interest on the largest economy on the continent, talking about Nigeria, which, of course, is also the most populated Black nation on earth. You did mention earlier on in this interaction that you set out to target that economy. And I'm wondering, with the shortage in infrastructure, the deficiencies, especially as it relates to power and even internet access, are you looking at investing in any of those sectors, i.e. power generation, as well as data provision?
Yes, I am. any technology, Martins, that is there, that is needed, Borg would love, to be a part of. But of course, as we learn from most private and public sector deals, they end up being long-term, 20 to 30-year projects. And what the government mostly only gives up is the land. So there still needs to be those base investors. And as an investment bank, we don't become the base investor. We take resources, assets, and we manipulate them, to trade them, to find ways to collateralize them, to leverage them, so that we can replicate money on a month by month basis to create tranching for these projects. So indeed, if we find interested partners inside of Africa with resources, and we know there's resources there. So the trick is finding them to partner with Borg. We'll create bank instruments. We'll create trading vehicles, things to get these low-hanging fruit projects of power plants remotely and directly, of broadband internet, of even solar power, of aggregation for water, and for agri-farming. All these things are very possible with having some local partners in Nigeria and the ability to leverage a growing or needed resource or asset.
Okay. All right. That's very encouraging. Now, as an African American, are you worried about some of the things going on in the United States, for instance? Of course, you will agree with me that it's almost impossible to come across a 25 to 30-year-old Black American who probably hasn't been to jail. Are you worried? And does it in any way encourage you to ensure that as many African Americans as possible have access to the lands of their ancestors as a way of boosting their morale towards becoming the best they possibly could?
Well, it's amazing. That's a very good question, Martins. We look at the generation X and Y, which are our 20 to 40 something year olds right now.
Yeah.
They have no idea of what's happening in Africa. They become dissident with what's happening here in the United States. So they really have no backbone. They have no ability to really know what their culture was.
Yes.
And so until they get an opportunity to actually see what's happening in Africa or be a part of it, whether it's politically, whether it's dynamic as a business model. But what I've done was created something called Borg University. This university, allows people to have the ability to learn how to find projects and find resources, and then be able to basically find ways to tie into the resources of Africa, and eventually be able to move there, to be able to operate there, and be able to flourish there at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, we know that everyone just can't go home to Africa, but they can certainly visit. They can certainly see the possibilities of the opportunities, and then find ways through companies like Borg in which to go back to their roots with their talents. Many of my doctor friends are Nigerian. They're giving back by creating tools and resources and medicine-based applications, and they'll still travel back like you are to basically keep it more sustained. So indeed, this is a global diaspora, not just of Africa itself, but of African people landing everywhere, not forgetting the motherland, not forgetting the land of their birth or their ancestors.
Now, how do we ensure that there's synergy among African professionals and even businessmen alike? Because the bulk of the challenge we face on the continent, both at home and in the diaspora, is that it's very difficult to get Africans to work together for a common goal. Yet we keep whining and complaining about what the West and now the Asians are doing to us. So how can we ensure we have a smooth and a better synergy among African professionals to bring about the much desired socioeconomic development on the continent?
Well, we must first look at the continent itself. With 54 countries, we got over 2,000 languages, 54 different governments. And there's no way in the world that they can get along with each other. We have three countries in our continent, or North America, of Canada, US, and Mexico, and we don't get along either. We need three. So we first have to understand that the blacks in the United States have a financial capability that's not there with our African brothers at home. So if we can first come together here and then basically go to our African ancestors and say, here's what we're doing. We're African Americans. We're still from Africa. So basically, let's come together in from a business point, because hate to say it, Martins, that I've met many, many, many African officials, ministers, governors, and presidents who may know how to run a local structure, but they have no concept. They're dumber than a box of rocks when it comes to business finance, international finance, and leveraging their own assets. So it's going to take coming together of people that may have wherewithal with banking, from the Western world, to come with our African brothers, as a consortium of resources to allow us to work together with our African brothers with the resources so that we can take advantage, not be dependent, but independent of others in creating and growing our own ecosystem.
I so much agree with you because, like I said earlier on this show, we've so much complained about colonization by the West. It was more of political and economic, but now we are getting into a messier situation where Africa is being recolonized by Asia, particularly China, economically. And I'm wondering, as an American, do you not blame the American government, because they also whine and complain about the incursion of China on the African continent? America had all the opportunities to take advantage of goodwill on the continent, but it seemed like they were more interested about their political influence than, if you like, infrastructural and real economic development of the continent. So do you not blame American government in particular for not taking advantage of the opportunities they had? And where do we go from here to ensure that Africa is not again recolonized economically by Asia?
Well, Martins, I have to agree with you 100%, is that when Liberia was created, we thought that would be the initial colonization of the Americas in the 60s, coming to create a US dollar-based country, being able to have a democracy based on backing by the US. All of a sudden, all of Africa, was enamored with the Americans. But then when the opportunity came to partner with them for mining, for sharing of resources, the US didn't come to their aid. Lo and behold, who was watching? You had the Arabs watching, you had the Chinese watching, you had the Japanese watching. And once we didn't take advantage of it, they got smart. They came with suitcases of money saying, hey, we want to buy in. Unfortunately, what it's turned into is that all of those colonizers have now become the owners of the assets, the controllers of the asset. While you may see Africans working, you'll see Chinese working too. Imagine a colonization of Chinese working inside of Africa. And it's amazing. And that you kind of hurts me as a investor, as a businessman. While you don't hate your fellow man, you hate to see your fellow man exploited, by the colonizers. Unfortunately, when I see that most miners want to do investments, guess where all the money comes from? It comes from Europe. All finances, all the central banks, all the banks are still financed. They're still controlled by European dollars. So Borg is trying to find a way to, again, find independence. Even if we use a European bank, it'll be our account. It'll be our money. We won't borrow money from the bank. We'll tell the bank for a fee what they'll do. And that's what everyone else uses the bank for, except us. We're dependent on the banks, and we don't need to. We can create our own private banks, still working with the bigger banks, but still controlling our assets and telling the banks what to do instead of them telling us what we have to do.
I so much agree with you. And until we have such a paradigm shift, we just keep whining and nothing happens. So you've been to the continent, and I'm wondering if what you experienced is anything to compare with what the Western media portray Africa to be. Because every day what we hear is Africa is not safe, nothing is going on there. But guess what? Go to the remote parts of Africa and you see these white men, the West, the Asians, they are all over. They are making money, and they come back and they tell us, "Oh, you don't want to go there. It's not safe. You are going to die." So how come they are not dying? They are making all the money. So your experience, does it correspond with what you hear on the Western media?
No, they don't correspond, and you have to be amazed as to why are the Chinese still coming in? Why are they not afraid? Once you have a common court, they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So when you come to Africa, you don't come there with money and watches and bling everywhere. You're apt to get something taken. But you come there to work. You come there to work alongside. Then you have no issues because you're there to help.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there's not enough of us coming to help us brothers. And so what happens is, people need to make money. So they end up making deals with the Lebanese, with the Chinese, with everyone else. So my cry, to our African brothers here, African American brothers, is to unite in a sense of loyalty, to the motherland. It doesn't mean that you have to live there, but once you go there enough, you'll long for being there. So again, my adage is you can support African structures, whether you're there or whether you're part of a structure there or around the world. But the idea is to get involved some kind of way to connect to the resources, to connect, to the abilities, of Africa.
Thank you so much. Now, what would be your final word to those on the continent who might want to partner with Borg Investment, or who might leverage your finance, leverage a professional advice for a better economy?
Well, so remember, Rome wasn't built in one day. It was an empire that was created by collaboration, and by conquering. But in this case, we can conquer, our dispositions of not knowing what we can't do by coming together and doing projects. If there are resources out there that you have, that you know of, please find a way, to reach Martins or reach me, so that we can have a chance, to talk with you and your constituents, because the same gold that's invested, is the same gold that I can take and leverage it better. I can guarantee that the same thing that the European, the Chinese is doing, we can do more, we can do better. And you've never seen $1 million house built by a Chinese or a Lebanese or Arab in Africa. They build them somewhere else. But now us African brothers can now build houses in Africa for us, by us, and it can help us all the way. So as an encouraging message to all, let's bind together. There are no differences, in what we have. It's just that we've been taught by the colonizers, to be different, but we're not. We're all African American descent. Let's come together. Let's find a way to bring Africa back to its past glory.
Thank you so much. On that note, of oneness, let's come together as Africans, both at home and in the diaspora, to build a new Africa where we can repossess our possession and become the giants that God actually made us to be. So thank you so much, Dr. Toby Baylis, for this interaction. And I look forward to more investment opportunities for you on the continent, and of course, you creating more employment for our brothers and sisters all over the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to it, Martins. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Our world has changed. What seemed unthinkable only a few months ago has become a new normal. But despite these difficult circumstances, our world has adapted, and we're here to help. Nigeria, welcome to Outpost Health. Welcome to the future of healthcare. Founded by Nigerian doctors, our internationally acclaimed virtual healthcare platform is now available across our home country. We bring a network of hundreds of highly trained professionals from Nigeria and around the world to your device to help you with your healthcare needs. Our doctors offer urgent and routine medical care, either virtually or in collaboration with clinics and hospitals around the country. Our health wallet enables easy and convenient payments and ensures you and your family will always have the funds needed to access quality healthcare no matter where you are. Our platform provides privacy and confidentiality standards that meet the strictest global security regulations for the medical industry. But don't take our word for it. Outpost Health was selected out of thousands of applicants from around the world by the United Nations WTO and the World Health Organization as an effective partner in the COVID-19 pandemic recovery. So let's create a healthy community together. Innovation, trust, safety, compassion. This is who we are. We are Outpost Health.
Right, I'm afraid that's the much time would permit today on the show Around the World with Martins. And come next time, we shall, as usual, have someone else who has made his mark in his or her field of endeavor. But for now, it's been so long now, and I'm sure you must have been inspired by that interaction with this great son of Africa. Of course, like you heard him towards the end of my interaction with him, he did call for unity among Africans, both at home and in the diaspora, so that we can make Africa indeed a continent of our dream. So till next time, I remain Martin Ogbu saying stay blessed, and I'll see you again.